Okay, so let's talk about the single side of things. So, we kind of prefaced this in part one when you spoke about the pandemic. So, let's kind of unpack that a little bit, kind of talk about, um, kind of where you were before your relationship began.
So before my relationship began, I was not working in retail. I was working in jobs where I was never around people my age. So I was working with elderly or children. So I didn't really have many people my age to meet or even around my age, even new people to make friends with or talk to. I kind of, accidentally isolated myself with those opportunities just by the jobs that I'd chosen and my experiences in my life. I kind of isolated myself with the hobbies that I chose as well, kind of like um, non-social hobbies like internet or gardening or animals or things like that. So I think my job that I got in retail really helps me come out of my shell, and meeting so many new people there that were my age. I mean, it was just amazing. Like, I was having a great time in the beginning. It was just so great. I stayed there for so long because the people were so great. It was just a night and day difference before I started, and then by the time I was there for a while, it was just really great. I really liked everyone I met there. So it was just a night and day difference between the time that I started and before then.
So, how do you think that impacted? Well, let me just ask, do you think that you would have been as open to getting to know your significant other in a different circumstance?
Um, I think at the point that I was at, I had kind of chosen not to be with anyone at that point, just because of my own negativity and the experiences I've had. So I was kind of doing that to myself, and I think that actually having an opportunity and someone, showing interest in me, it was really, it was nice. So I think, yeah, if he did approach me in a different situation, it would have been fine too, because I actually didn't want to date him at that time because we worked together. We weren't in a, it was like an okay thing to do. Like, we weren't supervisors or anything. So I just still, I was wary of dating someone I worked with. But at that time, he had quit shortly after. So it was all fine in that regard.
Okay, so when you said that you had kind of decided that you weren't going to date anyone, was there anything in particular that led to this decision, or was it just something that you subconsciously came up with that would be a part of life?
I think like my own sort of negative views um, was the reason for that. I think spending a lot of time by yourself, um, it could do a lot of harm if you're not hearing other people's opinions because there's no one to tell you, no, actually, that's not correct. Like, not everything you're thinking in your head is correct. So if you spend so much time by yourself, you don't have anyone there to say, actually, no, that's not that accurate, because if you're not out in the real world experiencing things, you don't really know how things are going to go. And if you don't actually do things, it's kind of hard to say that it's not going to work out when you never tried it. So, um, what was the question again?
No, I think that's a good way to put it. But the question was, like, I don't even know what the question was, to be honest. And I said this when I first got started. I said, I don't rehearse. When I do interviews, I don't write down the questions. It just kind of
Right.
goes with the flow. And so I think my question was, first I had asked, were you in a place before where you would have gotten to know your significant other, even if, it wasn't during the pandemic? And then I asked, what was it that led you to think that you possibly weren't going to be with someone, or that you had decided not to be with someone? And so you
I think
answered, yeah.
I think I thought you meant like that we both worked together. I didn't realize you were talking about like the pandemic. I think before the pandemic, yeah, I would have been open to it too, just because I've limited myself so much with most things in life because I'm trying to focus on something that's really important at the time, like any given goal that I was working towards. I kind of push everything that's considered like fun and things that I didn't think were very important. I pushed that way far to the back burner and just focus on the goal that I'm trying to get done. So I don't really, let myself do things that I should do for my own mental health. And I'm realizing that this past year or so, really, past couple 2 years or so, how much I've done that. And that really helped me make a decision to, let's see where this goes, because I, wouldn't let myself do anything in that department for a long time. So I was like, just get rid of all this negativity and just try something, see how it goes. And that's what I'm doing.
That is really a success story, just of deciding to think, even if it's not more positively, it's less negatively, and how that can have a really great kind of linchpin effect on your life. Just like deciding, oh, I'm just going to be less pessimistic about it. That kind of creates space for something positive or something good to happen. Um, so, something else I was going to ask is, did you have a certain vision or expectation of what being in a relationship would be like? And if you did, is the expectation different from the reality?
I think I definitely did have an expectation, and I think it was really just a subconscious thing because now that I am in a relationship, I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's him, which I really don't think it is, but I just always feel like we're just friends hanging out all the time, and there's not this sense of like romance and like past drama in the like movies and the shows, that we watch and grow up on. I don't it's not something that I feel right now in this relationship, and it's like kind of like I'm not sure if it's me that I can't take things seriously because I think that's what it is. But yeah, I think in that aspect it's a lot different. But I also wasn't expecting to spend this much time with someone and be happy about it because I've been alone so long. I thought there's no way I could be with someone 99% of the time, all day, every day, and not be completely annoyed after a while or upset. And somehow it's not a problem. And I was expecting it to be. So that's really surprised me. Um, I thought I wouldn't adjust to this well, but I think I have. And that's what scared me too. I didn't want to be dependent on someone. And it's not as scary as I thought it would be. It's not as bad. It's none of these negative things that I really thought it would be. Um, and I'm glad that I took a chance because I'm enjoying it.
That's really excellent feedback, because it just so succinctly captures that feeling of going from single and independent to in a relationship, and that fight to decide, is it going to become something that's interdependent, and what is the line between interdependent and codependent, and all of the fear that can be wrapped up in that. But to just say, well, I went through those motions or emotions, and now I'm in a place that is rested. So I really appreciate that. Again, you have let us know. And I think we just jumped right into it without saying that this is Cynthia and I'm Kendra. But we've been having this really fabulous conversation about the transition of single to in a relationship and what that looks like, kind of on a grassroots level. We have clear evidence on all of our feeds of what it looks like, but we're attempting to add texture to it. And I think this conversation has really been beneficial there. Um, I think my last question, and it's kind of a personal question, is what is your favorite thing about your significant other?
Um, I think how patient he is, because I also, one of the reasons why I'm negative about even being in a relationship is because I know myself really well, and I know that I don't know if it's because of, the fact that I didn't focus on things that were good for my mental health because I was trying to accomplish this other big thing that kind of deteriorates your mental health if you're not taking care of yourself in that way. So I would get, irritated really easily, and I didn't want to, do that to somebody. I didn't want to make them feel like they were irritating me when it's really my own fault. So he's a really patient person, and I don't get as irritated as I thought I would, first of all. But he's really patient with how much I love my cats, because a lot of people think it's freaking crazy, but they're just my whole world, and he's so patient with that, and he loves animals too. Like right now, he's outside, like just waiting with my cat for me because I like to let her outside, and he's out there watching her. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people who would choose to sit outside in the summer. Well, not summer, but the humidity of Florida, like for a couple hours. So I'd say patience.
Okay, I don't know if you meant for it to be, but that was so sweet just now. I just pictured him just like watching your cat in the yard, and that is so sweet. Um, well, thank you so much for answering. And again, thank you for joining us for part two of Cynthia's single spotlight. And she has definitely stolen the show for us. Um,
You're welcome.
so we look forward to speaking with everyone again soon.